afternoon, everyone. My name is Josh. I am a recovered sex addict and alcoholic. And man, analytics for recovery, does that not sound boring? Like when you say that, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a long 20, 25 minutes. I've been actually fascinated with analytics lately. I have a colleague that I work with, and I used to be drawn out with the analytics, but now that I've been brought in, it's interesting just to see as we move in the organization that we work with, we get to look at the analytics, and it's like, are we actually, moving forward? Are we actually making progression with the things we change? So analytics, I think, are critical in business. I think analytics are critical in recovery. When I was praying about what to share about today, I had this thought. I had a memory that came up, and the memory was, it was weird because growing up, never went out to eat. Like I'm talking like under the age of 14, never did restaurants, never did fast food. But I had this one memory where my dad took me and my siblings to Subway, and that was like, for some reason, I remember so much about that moment. I remember the conversation my dad had with the sandwich artist. Like what? Like I'm 8 years old. Why do I remember that? I remember getting the sandwich, taking it home, eating it. I remember the excitement that I had. But I also remember, what did Subway brand themselves as in the 90s? In the 90s specifically, what did Subway brand themselves as? They were branding themselves as a weight loss company. Like, who remembers Jared? Like Jared, that skinny little guy, and then he had the pants that he'd put up there, being like, "Oh, I was a size 48 or whatever it was," and I ate Subway. I don't know what it was, but it's like, I remember hearing this or seeing this and being like, "Man, this guy just eats Subway, and look at what it did for him." Like that is amazing. I've eaten Subway quite a few times since then, and I don't want to get into like any like defamation lawsuit or anything, but that is all lie. Like, I don't know how you get skinny eating Subway, but are we not seeing that even in today? That it's like, there's the keto diet, there's the paleo diet, there's, heaven forbid, not the gluten-free, the vegetarian diet or the vegan diet. But we got the gluten-free, the sugar-free, the, what else is there? The intermittent fasting. Like, why do people go on these lifestyle changes, or why do people, like go on these diets for a short amount of time? Like, they go on them because obviously they're not satisfied with something that's happening in their life. Maybe they're not satisfied with their energy. Maybe they're not satisfied with, physically how they look or their weight or what the number is on the scale. Maybe they're not sleeping well. Maybe they're having digestive issues. But you don't just, like, I would never just try something, just go, oh, this will be fun. It's like, at some point or another, it's like they've heard that this diet or this lifestyle change is beneficial and it works. So you sign up for it. And it's like, I'm going to commit whatever time it is. And the cool thing about that is you actually get to now track your progress from day 1 to day 30 to day 60 to 6 months to a year, however long you've been on it. And hopefully you get to see some change. You get to see a difference and see how you progress. Maybe your energy levels have increased. Maybe your belt size goes down a little bit. Maybe you feel better. Maybe you're sleeping better. Maybe the digestion is kind of kicking into speed. But what happens if you go through that time and you're not seeing the results? Like what then? Either the program is flawed, like Subway. Subway is not a weight loss program, so that might be a program that is flawed. Or maybe you're not following the program properly. Maybe you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go on the keto diet Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Or I'm gonna do the intermittent fasting. Yeah, but I'm gonna cheat at this day and this day. And we tend to cut corners with these things. I don't want to speak in the plural. I tend to cut corners with things. And then all of a sudden it's like, I don't see the results. And it's like, why am I not seeing the results? Well, it's because I haven't followed this program properly. And one of the things I've been confronted with lately is I've been confronted with like my own physical health, and I'm at this cusp here. I'm in my mid 30s, and it's like, I'm just noticing things are different. Maybe I get injured a little more than I used to. Maybe my metabolism isn't as quick as it used to. I don't have a physical job, and I'm on this teeter totter right now, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to start going down that slide. But what do I do? So I've reached out for help. Reaching out for someone to be like, can you like put me on this launching pad to help me live, physically healthy? The food that I put into like healthy, like help me launch into that, because I'm coming to this realization of like, I've always heard it, but just really understanding for myself that it's like the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, the recovery, like it's all under the same roof. It's not a bunch of like different bunk houses on the property. It's all one house, and they're all under the same roof, and it's like they all affect each other. And I can't start ignoring this. So I got to meet up with someone, and he's going to probably put me on the scale. He's probably going to take a couple measurements. He's probably going to be like, all right, take your shirt off and take a picture, and be like, oh man, this is getting weird. But it's like, but what he's doing is we're going to be able to look and track progression. Where am I? As I continue, hopefully, with this journey for life, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, I get to look at the metrics and being like, is this working or is this not working? Do I have to adjust something? Why isn't it working? Is it not working because I still want to do what I want to do? And it's like the same way we use the metrics for the business, the same way we use metrics for our physical, I also need to use metrics for my spiritual. I need to use metrics for my recovery. In the big book, it says, like the famous line, half measures availed us nothing. We come into these 12 steps going like, it's like I have an issue. The same way you start, a food program or a physical program. It's like you start because there's an issue. That's why I come into the 12 steps of recovery, because there's an issue of some sort. But am I going to follow this program of recovery? Or am I going to be, good enough today? Oh, that's good enough. But it's saying it's like half measures availed us nothing. And if I start cutting corners everywhere, what's going to happen? At the end of step 5, it says we carefully read the first 5 steps, and we asked if we have omitted anything. Is our work solid so far? Are the stones properly in place? Have we skimped on the cement put into the foundation? Have we tried to make mortar without sand? Am I just trying to go through this process for a little bit of pain relief, or I'm actually trying to go through this process for freedom? Am I trying to go through this process for the spiritual experience? And how do I get there? I follow the program that's set in front of me. But maybe you're like me, and I can get stuck into a little bit of a routine sometimes. I'm not saying they're bad routines, or even like I can get stuck in a rut, and it doesn't need to be a bad rut. But my rut can be like, okay, I wake up, I have, my devotional time, like my spiritual reading time. I can have a time of prayer. I can spend time with the kids, breakfast, you go to work, you come home, and we get into these routines. But am I actually taking time to reflect on where I'm at, to look at the metrics of my life? Where am I at spiritually? Where am I at in my recovery? Am I seeing these things clearly, or am I just kind of going with the flow? And in the Life Lab book, at the end of this 17-week Life Lab course, it asks us to do, take up your cross daily. We see this in step 10 of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Step 10, and it says, that we're to watch for 4 different things. That every day I'm to watch for selfishness. I'm to watch for dishonesty. I'm to watch for resentment. I'm to watch for fear. And why do I need to watch for those things? Like, have I not done enough? Like, aren't things good now? The reason I need to watch for those things is because those are going to be the things that throw me out of my off my mojo. They throw me out of recovery. They throw me back into Josh doing what Josh wants to do. And if you're like me, they come up in subtle ways. They don't come up in these massive ways right in front of you. So when I look at like, how do I watch for fear? Like fear, it's not me all of a sudden I'm going to go parachuting one day and oh my goodness, like fear's right there. Yeah, that is a fear. But that's not what I'm going to see in my day-to-day life. What am I going to see for fear? I'm going to see fear as it's like I go into a new scenario and maybe I want to puff out my chest a little bit. I want to peacock a little bit and show everyone that I have it all together. Why do I want to do that? Yeah, because I might have a fear that I'm not good enough. And I want to prove to everyone that I am good enough. Or maybe it comes out that it's like I'm asked to do something. Hey, can you help out with this? Can you step into this responsibility or this role? And how do I respond to that? Do I take it or do I say no? You know, and maybe I say no because I have a fear of failure. I have a fear, that I'm not going to succeed in that. So I need to watch out for those little things because it's not going to be this massive thing that blows up in my face. It's going to start small. I have to watch out for resentment because resentment isn't necessarily going to be like this hatred towards someone or this utter despise. It's going to come across as a simple annoyance. Oh my goodness, that's annoying. They're annoying. They're just too much for me right now. I need to watch out for dishonesty. And not dishonesty not like, oh, it's like I haven't told my wife a lie today, so today's a good day. But am I actually living in this delusion that I'm telling this lie to myself? That pushes me to think a certain way, to behave a certain way. I need to watch out for selfishness. Because at the root of all this, what's my problem? I'm selfish and I'm self-centered. And Josh wants to do what Josh wants to do. And in Luke 9, it says this. It says, he said to them all, so they're talking about Jesus. And Jesus says, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. I need to put down aside what Josh wants to do and what is right for Josh. Like all these things about, I can become so focused on Josh and what I want and what's best for me. But am I actually putting myself aside, putting my will aside and saying, God, how can I seek you today? What is your will? Let your will be done. And when I go through these things, when I'm watching for these things, and I start to notice them, it's not about me if I see them pop up, that it's not saying, okay, Josh sees this fear pop up. Well, let's figure, okay, like today we're not going to be fearful. Today I'm not going to be annoyed with anyone. Today I'm just going to have positive thinking. Because I can't do that. Like these things are so deeply rooted and ingrained. Daniel talked about root and branch the other week. These things are so deeply rooted in me that I need God to remove them. And that's what it says. I need to ask God to remove them. I can't remove them. And then what do I do from there? It tells me, it instructs me a part of this program. So this is a step I need to take. It says, and discuss it with someone immediately. And make amends if we've harmed anyone. Why do I need to discuss it with someone quickly? I need to discuss it with someone quickly. One, because addiction isolates us. Whatever your addiction is. Sex, food, alcohol, substances, relationships, it's trying to pull you in to yourself and your own thinking and your own, like you're off on your own little thing. So I get to discuss this. It's instructing me to discuss this with someone else because maybe I don't even see it clearly. But now I get to bring in a neutral party and they might be like, oh, well, is this happening or is that happening? Or have you seen it like that? So I get to bring someone else into it. And then that's what recovery is. Recovery is I'm actually making this a communal thing. I'm going from isolation into connection, from isolation into community. But I have to be the one taking that step forward into that. And it says, we're doing this to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This isn't growing in understanding about how Josh operates. This isn't about that. I'm doing this so I can grow in a deeper understanding of God. when it's saying grow in effectiveness, it's not about how can Josh be more effective today so I live a pain-free life today. No, how can I grow in how I can be effective to do the will of God today? That's what I'm growing in effectiveness towards. And then it says, this is not an overnight matter. Again, if you're like me, often we want things immediately. Like, isn't that what we get from the food, the relationship, the substance? It's like when I take it, it's like I get that immediate satisfaction, that immediate ease and comfort. And it's like, I'm used to this immediate thing. But my recovery process isn't necessarily like this immediate thing. It's this process that I grow and grow and grow and grow. So it says this is not an overnight matter. I can't expect these things to just flip like this, but I need the willingness to go at this day after day after day. And I got to check myself. I got to look at myself. I got to look at myself and just be like, where am I at today? I can ask myself these questions, like through the selfishness, through the dishonesty, through the resentment, through the fear. And I can just look at simple things like, am I having trouble in personal relationships? Is there conflict around me? And if there is, why? Why is there conflict? Because the promise of recovery is that I'm going to lose interest in selfish things and I'm going to gain interest in my fellows. That self-seeking will disappear. Can I control my emotional nature today? If I can't, why not? Because the promise is that I'm going to comprehend the word serenity and I'm going to know peace. Am I prey to misery and depression? If I am, why? Because the promise is that I'm going to have my whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Am I full of fear? Why? Because the promise is that I will intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle me. Am I unhappy? The promise is that I'm going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. So I need to ask myself these questions. And like if these things start popping up, I might not notice it right away because they come in a very subtle way. And the way I think about it, I had this picture this morning that it's almost as if like you're in like the dry part of California, where they have all the wildfires. And it's like, you throw a match into some bush, into some tall grass. But it's like there's just patches of grass, so it's not all connected. And it's like, and you catch a little fire there. But it's not that big of a deal. But if I let that resentment go or that conflict go, it's like there's another little fire and another one. But then all of a sudden you get enough of those little fires everywhere, and then all of a sudden you get a big wind that comes through, and now we got a forest fire. So I need to be looking at the metrics of my life on a daily basis, because the longer I go without doing that, the longer these little fires can start popping up all over the place. And I can't rest on my laurels. Like I can't rest on being like, like Josh has done a good job today. Let's just take it easy. I can't, because these things are always going to pop up, and I need to be looking at them and tackling them quickly. So how do I tackle them? Like what do I do when these things are popping up? Wow. What's my responsibility? My responsibility is I need to stay close to God, and I need to do his work well. And I have to start with that conscious contact with God. Do I have these spiritual disciplines around me of prayer and meditation? Do I have this spiritual discipline of morning readings? Am I starting my day off, with please, God, please? Am I ending my day with God, thank you? And this is all coming out of the Life Lab book. That it's like if I struggle with these things and these things are popping up, why are they popping up? But then how do I counter it? I counter it with the power of God. And I access the power of God through having conscious contact with him. So when I look at my recovery, when I look at my spiritual fitness, am I getting the results I want? And the same way a company will look at its sales over the course of a year, the same way, you'll look at your diet over the course of the year. If you're trying to implement dietary changes, the same way you'll look at your physique if you're trying to implement physical things. Is this working for me? Am I seeing progress? And if I'm not seeing progress, why not? Because the program of the 12 steps has promises for us. Being a Christian and following Jesus, that has promises for us. And the two of them are so aligned. And it's like, if I'm not seeing those promises, if I'm not getting the results out of them, why not? And I need to be starting to look a little bit introspective as to why, instead of always going around, maybe I can fix the next thing around me. So I want to thank you for allowing me to share today. It has been a joy and an honor.